Good afternoon, all of you, and welcome back to Gyan Jyoti. Um, Again, thank you very much, Sham, for allowing us to be present here. Thank you, all of you, for being present here for this enlightening session on understanding how digital transformation is a reality. How digital transformation, technological transformation is a reality. But today we'll try to break some myths around digital transformation. We'll try to bring about a new perspective to digital transformation and not just see this as a pure technology play. We'll see it as a far more transformative experience than anything else. How all our industries, whether it is consumer goods, whether it is industries, whether it is large factories, whether it is anything that we do, everything is touched by this new age thought of transforming digitally. We are dealing with consumers, customers, we are dealing with um, industries, we're dealing with businesses which are digital natives. They are born with iPhone in the hand. They're born with that intuitive understanding for technology. Looking at that aspect, what does it mean to be digitally transformed and how do we actually bring about this transformation? We'll look into that session today. Before we start, let's start our day with the prayer. Okay, so let's get into this topic of understanding what digital transformation means. Digital transformation, whenever I have been speaking about this topic at multiple forums, and whenever I've been speaking this topic about in conversations with various organizations, with the promoters, with the CEOs, the CXOs, there is a lot of confusion in the head. The general thought behind digital transformation is, okay, we are going to build an app. The general thought behind digital transformation is, okay, we are going to build a website which will bring about a multi-channel experience for the customer. On one side, people have moved away from this basic native thought of building an app or building a website. People start thinking about digital transformation as reducing cost, bringing in more efficiency. Digital transformation is definitely about cost and efficiency, but it's not just that. There is no problem in using technology to reduce your cost. There is no problem in bringing about a highly efficient organization by using technology. But that is not the idea behind digital transformation. The primary idea behind digital transformation is to remain relevant. Idea behind digital transformation is to remain relevant. What is that pain of the customer I'm solving is more important than how am I solving it. Of course, how is also an important element, but what is the pain is an important question to be answered. Digital transformation is about remaining relevant in the changing context. So you do not transform digitally. You transform and then use digital and technology and other elements to make it more usable, make it more cost effective, make it more engaging. That is the idea of using digital transformation. But if I were to put the whole thing into perspective about digital transformation, we will need to relook at what it means to transform digital. So what it actually means is you look at the changing context, and therefore you look at what is the new context that you're going to be living in. So it's primarily about two important things. The first important thing is, what is strategy? What is the strategy? What is the digital strategy that we're talking about? What is the strategy of your organization? And the second important part is, how am I implementing this strategy? So if you look at strategy as a general traditional way, all of you have done management and you would have seen the management books. It talks about two main parts of competitive advantage. The first one being differentiation, second one being cost leadership. Let me write it for you. Strategy is traditionally looked at as either being different or having a cost advantage. The only thing that has happened when we call about digital transformation is that this traditional view of strategy has changed. The games, the rules of strategy has shifted. Rules of strategy have changed in the digital era. The rules of strategy have changed in the digital era. What has happened in the digital era? What is this new amazing DNA that is building or getting developed in the digital era? Let's look at one diagram. This is Amazon. Now, if we have to talk about focus, I'm sure Jeff Bezos missed his management classes. It looks like he's all over the place. There's books and electronics, there is Kindle Echo, there is ad network, there is search, there is app store, there is phone, there is studio, there is video on demand, there is AWS, there is marketplace, there is whatnot. You talk about competition. For each of this, the competition is different. Books and electronics is Barnes and Noble, Kindle Echo is Apple, HP, ad network is Google, App Store is Google, phone is HTC, Apple, Samsung, Studio is NBC, ABC, VOD is Netflix, Hulu. There is AWS, there is Microsoft, there is IBM, marketplace, there is eBay. Is something wrong, or Amazon is a by chance a success? Actually, if you look at it, the online, the digital era means the context being digital has brought about a significant change in the way management science has looking at strategy. There was a time, there was a time when strategy was looked at, when strategy was looked at as making products cheaper or better. Now, that time, let me plot that for you in the graph. That time is basically the time of consumer goods, financial services, automobiles. So we can say, what industry are you in? I can say I am in the control valve industry. What industry are you in? I am in banking space. What industry is Amazon in? You can call it retail, you can call it e-tail, but then if it isn't retail or e-tail, why is it doing that Amazon Prime movies? Why is it Amazon Pay out there? So you can become a great, efficient, cheaper, more differentiated bank, but it will become the most irrelevant bank. So traditional way of looking at strategy is either make it cheaper or better. But that is the world of single product, single customer. Digital era has opened up the Pandora box in a very different way. In a very different way. You have to not just start looking at the bottom left. There are 3 other quadrants you need to fill up. Now, how do I do that? What does this mean first? And what happens as the game starts becoming more and more complex? When we talk about single customer, multiple products, what are we talking about is a strategy which we call as a razor blade strategy. That is where complementary product makes sense. So for example, all of you have used Acrobat Reader, PDF Reader. So PDF Reader is given out for free, but PDF Writer is charged. For this, PDF Reader becomes the razor and Writer becomes a blade. You give razor for almost free or very low cost, but you make money on the blade. You sell Kindle for almost no cost, but you make money on the subscription on books. So if you look at it, one side, which is the side of razor blade, it's becoming very interesting in the digital era. It was very difficult earlier when the physical things were available. When it is digital, it's extremely easy. It's not difficult. It's easy to build a razor blade strategy when you are in the digital era. Why? Because data is free. People have a lot of digital spaces in their hands. That is one aspect of the strategy. Under this aspect, you have multiple examples like iPod and iTunes. So you have complement strategy, which is called a razor blade strategy, Echo, Commerce, Kindle and eBooks, iPod and iTunes. It's all about complements. This was difficult in the traditional era of physical products. This has become extremely easy in the era of digitalization. And therefore, this strategy has to be somehow integrated with our traditional strategy and try to build more value for the customer. Amazon is doing this brilliantly, brilliantly. But Amazon is doing something else also very brilliant. The second thing which becomes extremely easy in the digital era because of the spread of digital resources across the consumer space is what we call as virtuous cycle of the network externalities. What does that mean? That means big starts becoming bigger and bigger becomes more bigger. And so big, the virtuous cycle starts. Why people go on Amazon? Because there are a lot of sellers on Amazon. Why sellers go on Amazon? Because a lot of buyers on Amazon. So buyers are attracting sellers, sellers are attracting buyers, and this is a virtuous cycle. Why people go on Facebook.com is because Facebook.com has lots of friends. The chances of you finding me on Facebook is very high compared to you finding me on some xyz.com. Because the likelihood of me being on Facebook is higher, therefore you will also want to come on Facebook. The more you come on Facebook is 1% extra. Likelihood of you being found on Facebook is higher, for somebody else is much high, therefore he will come on Facebook. And that is the virtuous cycle, which will never stop. The second side of the game is network effects game, and that's the power that WhatsApp created. With digitalization, this is possible. In the digital context, this is possible. That's the power that WhatsApp created, Amazon created, Uber created. All of them, there are more drivers, more taxis on Uber, and therefore there are more people on Uber. Because there are more people on Uber, there are more taxis on Uber. One attracts the other. The moment this virtuous cycle gets attracted and it's possible in the digital space, that creates what we call as a network effect. Very different from the traditional strategy of being focused on one thing. Being focused on one thing is important in the beginning, but you have to parallelly start asking this question: am I creating enough value for my customer? Am I creating enough value for my customer? Now, you carefully see how the game changes completely. It becomes magical. Amazon is on one side creating multiple complementarities. On the other side, it is creating immense, big network externalities. As the number of consumers on Amazon becomes very high and there are complementarities, and these two combine together, we create a fantastic output of companies like WeChat, Amazon, Paytm, Alibaba. There are multiple such things which are fantastic at multiple customers, multiple products. And suddenly we have seen a complete shift from traditional strategy of single product, single customer to multiple product, multiple customers. But don't fall into this trap, because this is possible only at the digital, by thinking digital. It is not possible in the physical world. Now, what does that mean? That means digital transformation is not about bringing an app, doing some technologically big thing inside your organization. Being digital does not mean doing some kind of a cost efficiency exercise, bringing in ERP or bringing in open software, combining some softwares. Digital transformation is not different from any transformation which we have to anyway do as the time passes. What do you mean by transformation in an organization is about clearly following 4 important steps. The first step that we need to follow in any transformation activity is about how do I reimagine my business? Let me draw it for you. The first thing is reimagining our when I say reimagining our business, what do you mean? You should look at the scope that you have, the ecosystem that you live in, and the business model that you need to follow. That's an important point here. Let's delve on this point. Let's look at an example of a discount store. A discount store is supposed to, electronics discount store, which sells televisions, which sells gadgets, which sells cameras, which sells multiple electronic items at a much cheaper cost. That discount store value proposition, scope, ecosystem, and business model is what? It drives traffic into the store because it has multiple showcase center of so many electronics. People touch, feel electronics. They talk to the salesperson who is an expert in that particular electronic item, get advice, ask questions, interact, and then finally it leads to a transaction. That's the business model. It was working for many, many, many years. Then came the digital era of today with Amazons and everything there being there. Discount store still exists. People still walk in, maybe more. They still talk, they still touch, feel, experience, everything. But when it comes to buying, they just scan the barcode, go on the Amazon.com and just check what's the price there. And Amazon will be much cheaper than that discount store because it doesn't have that infrastructure cost, doesn't have all those large capital cost. And people are more likely to buy from Amazon than the discount store. The whole value proposition goes bust. A discount store which is doing extremely well is now almost at the bottom, is almost about to die. Contexts have changed, ecosystem has changed. We need to relook at the way discount stores operate. So discount store will have to relook at the whole value proposition all over again. Whole value proposition all over again. Let's look at it again. Let's redo it. Customer enters, does everything, does all the window shopping, touch and feel everything, takes advice from the salespersons, talks to them, technologically look at it, but then go to Amazon.com to buy it. There are two ways looking at it, and I've seen so many people talking about the same thing. Some people talk about it saying that, okay, now customers have become bad, how unethical, how immoral it is. They come here, they talk to me, but they buy from somewhere else. That's one way of looking at it, putting blame on the outside. Second way of looking at it is this is the new behavior of the customer. How do I capture value? How do I compete? So the first step that you need to do is ask yourself a question. What is the question that you need to ask? That am I valuable to the customer? So tomorrow, suppose this discount store is out of picture. Will I be valuable? So if discount stores don't exist, or these stores don't exist, physical stores don't exist, customers will feel itchy to actually go and touch and feel before they buy. So definitely I add value. Then how do I capture value? So pricing in digital world has changed. How should customer pay you? That has changed. The currency has changed. The method has changed. So you start looking at it. How do I capture value? So traditionally, there are two ways of looking at it in this era. One is, can customer pay me in a different way, or can somebody else pay for it? So customer paying you, the only way possible is paying you by data, which maybe he's giving also, or maybe he's not comfortable giving also. The second way is asking yourself a question: am I creating value for somebody else also apart from this customer? And that's when the whole value chain opens up in front of you. Who else gets benefited from my presence? On one side, there is a customer. On other side, there is a manufacturer, Samsung. Am I valuable for Samsung? Answer clearly is yes, because for Samsung, it doesn't matter from where does the customer buy, whether it's Amazon.com or this discount store. But Samsung needs customer to buy, and in customers buying cycle, this experience in the store is important. So if this discount store shuts down, Samsung will have to open its own stores, which is very expensive. So discount store can do what? It can go to Samsung or similar manufacturers and tell them, okay, I give you space within my stores. You establish a small showcase center or shop over there. It's like an exhibition ground that I'm giving you, Goregaon. You can go and put your shop and then create an experience for the customer. Now a customer can maybe buy from Amazon.com, but you pay me for that space and that footfall which I'm bringing in for you, for the customer, of the customer. Suddenly, a traditional way of looking at the business scope, ecosystem, and business model, the old business model was, I come, I check out, I pay, I buy. The new business model is, manufacturer pays me to set up a shop there. Customer comes in, he checks out, he does all the questions. Best technical experts from the manufacturer sitting over there. I don't buy, but I buy from somewhere else, or manufacturer can give me multiple options to buy. Can maybe also help me buy from Amazon right there. While I'm buying from Amazon, I always have a question: is this the same product which I'm buying? But because if I've entered the discount store, I can't ask this guy, is it the same thing? I'm embarrassed. But if I'm sitting with a manufacturer, he can help me purchase the same item from the cheapest place, and the whole experience can transform from being an embarrassing experience to a delightful experience. The only thing is, we did not think that customer has become bad because he enters here, sees everything and buys from somewhere else. We thought customer, this is the new way customer buys. Can I be valuable for him? How do we collaborate together with the customer to enhance his buying experience? So step number one is look at, reimagine your organization, reimagine your business model. So what is the scope? What is the industry? What is the ecosystem? And what is the business model? The second thing that happens inside this, after having done that, what you need to do is you need to reevaluate your value chain. What does that mean? That means re-looking at your R&D, re-looking at your operations, and re-looking at your distribution. Because now, as this will change, this will have a great impact on what happens over here. And from here, you to start asking the next question, which is important for you, and that is, how do I reconnect with the customers now? What is the new reconnection model? That means what is the journey, what is the engagement, and how do I manage the transaction relationship or collaboration with the customer? And that's where the last point also comes into play of our digital transformation is then, how do I reorganize my organization? What does that mean? That means what is the structure? What are the capabilities? Technology that I would be using. So all these four things, while you're looking at it, just answer the following questions. The questions that you need to answer are, the first question that you need to answer is, what is the pain of the customer I am resolving? Like in the discount store problem, I am not resolving his buying problem. I'm resolving his Q&A problem, his FAQ problem. When I started looking at myself not as a discount store, and I looked at myself as an exhibition center, suddenly the whole game became different. So I should be clear about what is the pain of the customer I'm resolving. And if that clarity is there, you will be able to solve that pain in the most efficient way with whatever technology or system you have. The second thing that you should answer is, how do I solve this? The third question that you need to answer is, what is the sustainable business strategy? When you are understanding clearly what your business strategy is of solving that pain of the customer, what you need to understand is, while I'm solving it, how do I capture value? While resolving pain. So you have thought about a new model, you thought about new method, you thought about new way of capturing the value. Now comes engagement with the customer. The important question to be asked is, how do I enhance my engagement experience. Engagement experience with the customer. Last but not the least, which is a part of the reorganization strategy. How do I reorganize myself? Now, once you have understood all this, in the first point itself, you might be able to list down multiple pains that customer faces. Now, those pains can either be solved by a traditional method or can be solved either by a razor blade or by a network. Maybe you can integrate many things on your platform, help your customers with those things to become like a platform. To become like a platform. Thought is simple, that digital transformation is a reality. How we look at it is important. Digital transformation does not mean bringing in just a technology and do something magical. It's about answering these simple questions, which I told you. And answers to these simple questions will help you remain relevant in today's world. And once we have properly answered these questions, we should be able to bring about a sustainable impact for this whole cycle of what I told you right now is called as strengthening the core and building for the future. This whole cycle is called as strengthening the core and building for the future. Once this whole digital leadership and transformation is a part of your organization's DNA, the transformation is a part of your organization's DNA, you'll continuously keep on reimagining your business. You'll continuously reevaluate your value chain. You'll continuously connect with customers. You'll reconnect with customers and find new ways of engaging them, managing them, the journey of the customers. And the last is, how do you rebuild the organization continuously to support the first, second, third step? Now, this whole idea of having a large impact, having a tremendous impact to a digital transformation strategy is possible only when we have two important things in our head. First, we should ask ourselves a question: how should I compete? Discount store example. Think clearly. It's not competing on discounts, because if it will try, it is like becoming bankrupt sooner than later. Second is, how do I capture value in the new context, new environment? The discount store example is amazing because suddenly, when I was almost on the verge of breakdown, a new energy came in because I looked at the same problem in a different way. Same problem was looked at in a different way. So therefore, if I add these two elements in our kitty of things that you can take with you, two things are: first, redefine how we compete, Second, understand how can I capture, value? And as more players enter your value network, the value pie keeps on increasing. But if you do not have an idea of how to capture that value, you will always be at the back foot. You'll always be at the back foot. Now, the questions that you need to answer is, how do I look at what to do? How do I know that this is the new context now and this is the new thing that I have to do? Because sometimes these are not very apparent. You're still making money, not like this discount store where we are just breaking money every day. You're still making money, you're still selling, you're still doing everything. How do I become relevant before I become irrelevant? How do I do a change in my organization before I actually become irrelevant in the market? For that, you have to only follow one very important rule. You have to develop a very robust customer journey. Develop a very robust customer journey. And you have to continuously keep on looking at that journey, because in today's world, the journeys are modifying almost daily. Almost daily. What he used to behave, how he used to behave a week back is no more constant, no more same. Look at your customer journey in a very comprehensive way. Once you look at your customer journey in a comprehensive way, then you have to ask two important questions. What are various journey points? And at each of the important journey point, what is the propensity of the customer to use multiple channels? And the second is, what is the importance of that journey point in the life of the customer? Now, this is a detailed way of looking at the whole problem of digital transformation. We can go in this detail next time when I take up this topic again with you. But at this moment, just to summarize the whole thing, you have to just remember these 5 major things. First, it's not about just making products cheaper or better. It's not about that. Technology is not about making just products cheaper or better. Technology or digitalization is about remaining relevant in today's world. When the customers are digital natives, and there are many such people, new generations that are taking birth. Second point, what is the new strategy that I want to make to actually help or resolve multiple pains that my customers face? I usually give this one example in various sessions, and I'm going to repeat that example over here. There are so many stores that retail stores that people go to. The biggest pain point of a retail store is the cash counter. So even if you go to Star Bazaar, you go to any other bazaars, large bazaars, big bazaars, the biggest pain point is the cash counter. Ask yourself a question. Can I use technology? Can I use digitalization? And can I use the habit of the customer to be digital, doing digital transactions almost on a daily basis, to reduce this pain? And suddenly answers will start popping up, because yes, it is possible. But first, while you're answering this, don't put all the constraints into it. It is possible. How? Because every product has a QR code. Every person has a smartphone. He just had to keep scanning the QR code and uploading that data, that product on the cart. And before leaving, just check out. That looks simple, very difficult, because there can be pilferages, there can be wastages, there can be people not wanting to pay, there can be, we can't detect who has paid, who has not. There can be many such questions, but this is definitely technically possible, assuming everybody is trustworthy. So if it is possible, that means I have resolved one very important thing, that there is a pain that a customer feels, that he has to wait for the exit at the counter, to wait for exiting the counter, he has to wait in a huge queue. That problem can be technologically solved if the payment can be done online on his smartphone. Now comes the second question. How do I reorganize my R&D? The second point. How do I reorganize my R&D? Second, let me open that thing for you so that it becomes easier for you to understand. How do I reevaluate my value chain? So what should I do in my R&D? What should I do in my operations? What should I do in my distribution to actually make this, solve this problem for the customer? So maybe the answers will come. I will have to redesign my store itself. So customer enters, app gets activated, everything around that is well scanned, well driven, everything is at its place. The moment customer picks up a jar, it adds into its cart, keeps the jar down, it goes out of the cart. Movement tracking are there, movement sensors are there. It's not about just putting one QR code. I will have to redesign the journey of the customer within the store. Journey of the customer within the store. Amazon is already doing it. It's already experimented a store in US. Where the moment you enter the store, the app, Amazon app gets activated. It makes a beep sound. You know it's activated. You go to the aisle, you pick up a smartphone. Smartphone gets plop, added into the cart. You say, oh, I don't like it. You keep it back. It gets deleted from the cart. By the time you have decided what you want to buy, just put it in the basket. By the time you come out, and the moment you move out, it checks whatever QR codes have left the system are the same as in the cart, and they just clear the money from the Amazon Pay. Seamless experience. You have to do nothing. No questions being asked, no payments being done. It's about reorganizing your value chain to deliver this. And once we have done that, you have to answer this question. Okay, now I've solved the problem. There was a problem. I resolved the problem. How do I reconnect with the customers to create a better engagement? And then how do I reorganize my organization to actually make this happen on the ground and at the larger scale? So question is not about using technology to become cost efficient and efficient and better or differentiated. It is about relooking at the way you solve the pains of the customer. So seeing the pain, resolving the pain, organizing yourself to solve that pain again, and continuously keep doing it till the time you are existing in this world. As the digitalization is happening, to do things, it becomes easier. Pick up more pain so the customer becomes easier. It is easier. It is not difficult. Therefore, complementary products creation is possible today because it's a digital era. Creating that network effect is possible today because of digital era. And because these two things are there, in your business arsenal, we have to keep these two things as two more bigger, what do you say, weapons for actually making a larger impact in the world. All right. Thank you very much. Any questions if you have, I'll be happy to answer. Okay, no questions. Okay. All right. So, Shyam, you're there?
Yeah.
So you can maybe either conclude or if there are any questions.
Yeah, I think I don't see any questions coming, so we can conclude. Thank you very much again, Rohit, for sparing your time. I think there's one question. There's a comment, I think, quite
Yeah.
good. So thank you again for this interesting session, Rohit, and sparing your time for us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shyam.
Thank you everyone for participating today, and please keep coming. Please give your feedback, and we would like to hear from you if you have any suggestions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's conclude today's program with a prayer.